Hello, welcome to the devlog for my Game Jam project for SuNoFes 2021 and Yaoi Game Jam 2021. Today we'll be going over the development process for All of My Tomorrows, an LGBTQ+ visual novel that follows the player character and their husband, Daniel Wright, through an exotic vacation getaway, and with each day that passes, begins to come to accept the lingering concept that everything eventually comes to an end. Okay, so that intro may have been a little cheesy, but that's why I'm here. My name is Anonymous Cheese. I am the owner and founder of Opalizard Studios, the indie studio behind All of My Tomorrows, and an upcoming visual novel-style dating sim called Rainbow Heartbeats. The idea behind All of My Tomorrows came from a comic I read about the relationship between two people that disintegrated over time, leading them to split up, and eventually one of them started seeing other people while also keeping their terminal illness a secret from their ex, and then eventually passing away from it. Now, I know that doesn't sound very similar to All of My Tomorrows, but I wanted something born from a more happy place. Something not toxic, but rather, despite the misfortune, it was born from a place of trust and support. Thus, the idea for All of My Tomorrows was born. Two people happily in love, albeit with a rocky start, working their way through life as the eventualities and cruelness of the universe slowly walk up to remind them that nothing is permanent or fair, but that learning to accept it is a hard choice that we're all capable of making. Once the game jam started, I took the first few days to work on the script, which ended up coming to about 17,500 words. Once that was done, it was time to do art concepts. I did do all concepts for the background arts, Danny's sprites, and then the other character side sprites. I don't seem to have any footage of me actually drawing any of the backgrounds, which is unfortunate. I guess I forgot to record them, but what I did record was the before and after of how everything started versus how it looks now. Once the backgrounds were done, I completed work on the character sprites, and then it was time to work on sound. Aside from ambience tracks and most of the sound effects which were pulled from Creative Commons libraries, I created everything else myself. The Ewonik baby and adult squeals and grunts, the squid screams and cries, the Treasure Master sounds were all created by mouth by me. Music was all created in FL Studio 20 and is quite possibly my favorite part of the game. By this point, I was doing finishing touches like creating sprites for the Forest Rock puzzle, doing basic UI graphics, and changing or adding things as needed in other graphics or sprites. Then it was time to pack everything up into a nice little bag and dump it into the game engine. I did develop this in Unity with the Fungus asset, which focuses on visual novel, visual storytelling, or point-and-click style game development. Then the programming process began, the best part. Or the worst. Definitely the worst. Fungus does handle on its own a major portion of the programming here, things like transitioning between UI graphics and dialogue. However, I wish there were more audio options for being able to control the voice volume in script so that it can be changed by the player in the audio menu, but I worked with what I had time or knowledge for because none of my hotfixes really solved that problem for me. At one point, I did have to code a combination puzzle. Basically, the script would store a 9-digit number on a square of 3x3 buttons. The player would have to select the numbers in the puzzle in the correct order in order to win and move on. Otherwise, the game dialogue would say something cheeky and you'd have to try again. The problem this posed was that I had no idea how to assign a number to each block and then have it return that value when clicked, and then store that value in a string with the other numbers the player clicked in the order that they clicked them in. This took a lot of troubleshooting because, to be frank, I'm not amazing at C#. In the end, I created 9 individual script files that all assigned a number to the block they were attached to. In the main script file for the puzzle, each block had an on-click event that would take the number assigned to the block in the block script file and string it along, and then check that new string of numbers against the stored correct code once you hit 9 digits. That's a lot, so I'm just going to show you. Okay. Yay! Okay, now let's put in the right code. 3, 6, 1, 9, 4, 2, 8, 7, 5. The write code! Yay! Oh, that's amazing! After that, it was still just a bunch more programming and tweaks and fixes. The order of certain things had to be delicately finessed to achieve something appealing to the player and had to make sense. So the remaining part of developing was dedicated to constantly playtesting to see what sounds were too loud, what needed to be switched around, spelling errors, and what didn't make sense or sounded or looked bad. And then, bam, it was done. This was a really fun project, even if it is a little short and isn't quite as impressive as some other visual novels. It's quite possibly the most exciting thing I've accomplished since I started developing. Hopefully in the next couple of months I can make some important headway on my other project, Rainbow Heartbeats, and then I can move on to something really exciting, which will be my first 3D game. Check me out on Twitter at Opalizard Studios. Sometimes I post funny stuff. You can also click around my itch.io page for some other games or projects I'm working on. And then also my YouTube, you can take a peek through there to see some early tests and teasers for the various projects that I've been working on. Thanks!